Hello out there and welcome to the newspaper review here on Tab TV. My name is Obed Jerry, your host for today, and yes, this is where we get to discuss with members of the streets as we got different headlines on the newspapers. Well, you out there can also be a part of this show. Please drop your comment in the comment section if you have anything to add to it, and subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe. Turn on your notification button and connect with us across all our social media platforms. Well, before we discuss with members of the streets, let's first look into the newspapers and see what the stories look like. Today being 20th Monday 2024 in the month of May, we could see on the Daily Trust it says Abbas to Ganduje raise committees to reconcile aggrieved APC members. Details of this story is found on page 12. More pressure on Naira ahead possible interest rate hike. Details is found on page 23. Kano mocks Asan renders 100 orphans, 13 widows. Details is found on page 3. The main story at the Daily Trust says 2 years after, 100 new air traffic controllers redundant. Sub-story under that reads, NCAT lacks capacity to train us. Aviation College silent. It takes time to train cadets, says Nama. Details is found on page 4. Iran president, minister on board crashed helicopter. Details is found on page 4, and that is a very sad one. May their souls rest well. And moving on, it says 12 killed in Taraba, Imo auto crash. Details of this sad story is found on page 5. Man City win historic fourth straight Premier League title. Details is found on page 39. Army rescues 386 from Sambisa forest 10 years after abduction. Details is found on page 6. Gunmen kill 2 soldiers in Abia. Details is found on page 33. And lastly says restriction on Nigerian other African countries imports affecting businesses. Details is found on page 36, and that's all be taken on the Daily Trust newspaper. And moving on, we'll be looking at the Daily Sun. We could see as headline says 2 beheaded, 7 kidnapped, houses burnt in Ebonyi community. A very sad one. Details is found on page 5. The main story on the Daily Sun reads NLC, TUC insists on living wage. Sub-story under that reads say no going back on demand. Details is found on page 6. Tinubu chairs 25-man presidential committee on climate action, green economy. Sub-story under that reads appoints Ngalale special envoy on climate action. Details is found on page 28. Reps propose election petition conclusion before president. Governors swearing in. Details is found on page 6. Rescue Katsina from hunger, insecurity. Government begs World Food Program. Details is found on page 27. 2027, Obi supporters begin mobilization. Set up committee. Details is found on page 27. Serap sues governors, FCT over failure to account for FAAC allocations. Details is found on page 26, and that's all taken on the Daily Sun newspaper. And lastly for today, we'll be looking at the Nation's newspaper. We could see here it says Soldeir sacks 21 transition committee chairman. Details is found on page 8. President OK's panel on green economic drive. Ajuri Ngalale is envoy. Details is found on page 5. Central Bank withdraws cybersecurity level circular. Details is found on page 4. Imo varsity teacher, 5 others die in car crash. Details is found on page 8. The main story here reads Tinubu likely to get minister's performance record this week. Sub-story that reads deliverable based on administration's 8 priorities. Deliverables based on administration's 8 priority areas and criteria. Interesting, at least it's good to hold these persons accountable for their positions. Details of this interesting story is found on page 4 of the Nation's newspaper. Here it says CBN faces tough choices on interest rate, inflation, others. Sub-story under that reads Apex Bank's MPC meets. Details is found on page 4. And lastly, it says NDDC inaugurates Abia Akwa Ibom Link Road. Details is found on page 8, and that's all we'll be taken on the Nation's newspaper. Now let's get to see the reactions of people on the streets. Let's get to hear what they have to say as regard these headlines on the papers. Stay tuned. All right, good day.
Yeah, good day, bro.
Welcome. It's good to have you here. Happy New Week to you.
And you too.
All right, there's a headline that says more pressure on Naira ahead possible interest rate hike. And you know everything about this Naira decline and dollar increase is affecting our source of livelihood. What do you have to say about that?
Truly, is affecting everybody. It's affecting both we that is doing business. It's affecting us. In times of when sometimes you will buy something of 50,000 naira today. When you go in times of in the next 2 minutes, 2 hours, they will tell you the price have increased. They will tell you it's like 60 or 70,000 naira. And when your customer came to buy, and someone bought yesterday, say I bought this at the rate of 50,000 naira, and began to tell me it's 70,000 naira. It looks somehow as if that you're a fraud. So the thing is really affecting us in this period.
But now we know how Nigerians are. If price of goods go up, it is hard for it to come down. If the naira rate gains weight against the dollar, like let's say the price of dollar reduces, do you think the price of commodities will still reduce? We know how pure water was 5 naira, it turned to 10 naira, 20 naira. Till now it is 250 naira, and some persons did not still reduce the price.
Yeah, yes, some people cannot reduce the price based on how things it is now. Likewise, there was a time that said dollar is at the rate of 1,600, 1,500 something. But the price things are still going higher.
So is it the government or the people that are causing this issue?
This one is not the government, it's personal issue. Yes, when they look at the situation of the country now, there's a personal
Everybody
issue.
wants to make profit.
Yes, in their business.
Okay, now as a concerned Nigerian, do you think there is hope for Nigeria?
My brother, I will not actually say there is hope for Nigeria, except God intervention. We have a good leader, so there will be hope for Nigeria.
But like in a span of like 4 to 5 months, you don't think things will get better for us?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, in Nigeria, I don't think so. In fact, in 2 years come itself, I don't think that things will be better now.
So where do you think our issue is coming from? Maybe the governance, or we the people, or the kind of strategies that they are using to rule us?
Yes, based on my knowledge, I will tell you that it's coming from the government. Yes, during the time when Buhari was on seat, things are not like this. But the moment Mr. Tinubu enter, our president now enter seat, everything turned upside down, everything changed. Masses begin to cry. So that's how it is.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Week.
Same to you, boss.
All right, on the Daily Trust newspaper, there's a very interesting headline that says gunmen kill 2 soldiers in Abia. Now, why this is troubling is, remember what happened in Okwama community, the killing of soldiers, and how it turned out to be, and how there's no peace in Okwama till today. So what's your take on that?
It is, at first, I would say, it is sad that of late we're hearing that. Before now, we civilians, we fear soldiers.
Exactly, very much.
So this new, I don't understand. Is it like a new trend of killing soldiers in Nigeria? Because this is like the strongest force. Obviously, this is like just like you're addressing the president. You're hearing things like commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and like just like I said, the soldier is the strongest unit force in Nigerian nation, Nigeria. So if this body are being threatened like this, are being killed, it looks as if our armed forces are yes, it's like a child's play. Now, having to kill 2 soldiers already in Abia, how are we sure that just like you rightly said, how are we sure this will not result to Okwama communities? Because most persons are yet to finally return to their.
Some of them cannot recover because their houses have been burnt down.
Obviously, so I don't see this as something pleasing. Now, looking at it as a Nigerian now, I don't see this as something pleasing, because soldiers are meant to be respected. You can play with police. It's only police that is our friend. You can play around with police. You can just play a little with mopos, but soldiers are meant to be respected. So in as much as we are seeing this sudden killing of soldiers, I feel the soldiers should actually wake up. But please, they should not wake up with their full regalia, because we remember the Okwama community, the 16 soldiers, 17 soldiers, some records said 16, some said 17, that were killed. We saw the aftermath of everything. So I feel like more should be done. It's not nice that we're hearing that soldiers are being killed. It's really not telling good on the country. Remember, armed forces are the ones to defend us from other countries now. If God forbid, if we should have Iran and Israel's fight in Nigeria, it is our soldiers that will be on the forefront. So if our soldiers are so vulnerable to be killed by we ourselves. Nigeria is not safe. This is not a kind of headline that other countries should hear. It looks as if we are powerless. This is our defense. So I feel, in as much as we are pleading with Nigerians, civilians. So please, I know of late it looks as if we have found the weak point in soldiers. That's why we are hearing killings here and there. So we should not place our national integrity and open it up to the world. This is really a sad one.
Okay, we are urging the military not to retaliate.
Yeah,
But if eventually they retaliate, would we say they are guilty or to be blamed for anything?
So at this point, I wouldn't side the civil. I'm a civilian. I will not side the civilian, and I will also give complete should I say regard to our soldiers. There should be a balance. There should be a balance. Soldiers are meant to be respected, and one of the ways that it is only the Nigerian army that has the right to take over power from us.
They've not thought of that so far.
They have not thought of that so far. So I feel we civilians should run into hiding, because if we keep allowing these guys to take laws into their hands, how are we sure that they will not take over this country? Because of late we have been threatening their lives, and it looks as if, just like I said, they have been very vulnerable, very lenient. Gone are the days our fathers would tell us that during dictatorship, during the civilian the army era, you don't do anything. So this was how we were groomed. We were groomed to fear soldiers. So we are now also giving upper hands to soldiers to actually deal with us, because if these guys get to deal with us, at least if we pick somebody from a Okwama community, they can testify what their living weaknesses. So please, I feel we should respect the Nigerian armed force. We should not be hearing things like this. If it's a policeman that is killed, okay, we'll understand. It's a civil case, but this particular case is beyond Nigeria. Let's just see it beyond ourselves. We killing our
Disrespect our soldiers. Other countries
will disrespect our soldiers. It therefore means we are vulnerable to anything. We are like, just like a common Nigeria will say, we they try open their nyash. It don't make sense. It really not making sense at this point. So please, let's take caution. Let civilians be civilians and soldiers be soldiers. You cannot be putting your hand as a child on your father's head. It's wrong. Very, very wrong.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, this is where we draw our curtains for today. If you heard everything that has been discussed here, if you have a suggestion or a counter opinion, please slide to our comment section and drop your comment. Of course, interrupt us, and we'd like to hear from you. My name is Obed Jerry, your host for today. See you next time.